Awesome. All right. How's everybody doing today? All right. This is going to be awesome. Let's finish this thing out. I am John Williams. I'm not the John Williams that you probably came to see, the composer. He's much more talented, but he doesn't know anything about FinOps. So I'm a principal engineer at Epic Games, and I'm here to talk to you about ways to scale smart and some practical tips for cost optimization without sacrificing reliability. So I'm curious how many of you would consider yourselves engineers? Oh, nice, that's a lot of you. Well, whether you're an engineer or not, I hope that you can get something out of today. And on that note, this is something that I really enjoy about the idea of FinOps personas. It really gives us a diverse view into how we into our costs, and it really helps us solve problems in different ways and find problems in different ways too. So on that note, how did I get here? So I started out my career as a sysadmin, and then as a DevOps engineer, then an SRE, and now I consider myself a FinOps engineer. The main thing that is carried through my whole career is this idea of creating reliable services without breaking the bank. So how did Epic Games end up here? So as many of you know, Fortnite had rapid growth in the beginning, and Epic has a culture of uncompromising focus on user experience. So that has resulted in a huge cloud footprint that includes 3 million cloud resources, 30,000 compute instances, hundreds of Kubernetes clusters, and thousands of load balancers and storage buckets. And through this journey, as I mentioned, we focus on user experience and reliability, and cost never was really at the forefront of what we are doing. That leads to this idea that I see time and time again, is this idea of reliability and cost kind of being opposing forces. And I kind of want, there's this idea that when you scale up too fast, and you're going to sacrifice cost, but if you don't scale fast enough, you're going to sacrifice reliability. So one thing that we have done through FinOps engineering at Epic Games is try to create a better balance between reliability and cost. So the way that I look at this is kind of this Venn diagram that I have here of reliability engineering kind of overlapping with financial responsibility, creating this idea of FinOps engineering. So kind of in summary, like FinOps engineering is reliability engineering with a constraint of financial responsibility. So that kind of leads us into the next thing, like the first thing that I really wanted to dive into that we've done at Epic. So like throughout the years, we didn't have very good view into our cloud resources and our costs, mostly because we didn't have a lot of tagging on resources, like we didn't know what was what, and it was just kind of the Wild West, if you will. And that resulted in a lot of surprises around costs because we didn't really understand it. And then we also had this, a lot of resources that were untagged, and then on the resources that were tagged, each team would tag them differently, and it was our job as a FinOps team to make sense of those tags after the fact, which just, it wasn't sustainable. So now how we've solved that problem is we've created a robust tagging initiative across the company to where we tag all resources. And even if you don't, so if teams that don't tag the resources, whenever they create new ones, we're just going to delete those resources and force them to create them again with the proper tags. So we have this idea of a program around creating the tags, and if you don't follow it, we're going to solve the problem for you. So this is part of our way of creating a better culture around cost awareness, and that leads into the next thing. So we use Backstage as our service catalog, And as you can see here, oh, actually, on the note of Backstage, Backstage is an open source software that you can use too. We are managing, I think, just under 2,000 microservices in Backstage. I'm gonna grab, can I get some water? Thank you so much. Anyways, Backstage. So rather than having service owners go somewhere else to get their cost information, we can do it right here. We've done it right here in Backstage. It's more about creating gentle reminders and just kind of exposing costs to our service owners when they haven't really known about costs in the past because it wasn't a priority. So yeah, the nice thing here is everything is right here in Backstage that people need to see about their infrastructure. And we're also giving them like some savings opportunities. We'll expose that to them here. And this is all powered by the tagging that I mentioned before. So you'll see here too, we have this idea at Epic called an EUID. It's on the left over there. And that's kind of our like unique identifier that every service gets that unique identifier. So, and that will go throughout like any resource that is associated with this service. So the next thing that we have is this tool called Savvy. It's a tool that we built internally, and it's not open source. I hate to say it, but you can't have it. It's mine. But I share this with you because I think it's a really powerful tool, and I think it's really important to have some sort of tool to find underutilized or unused resources based on like real world usage. And then we even have, you'll see up in the upper right, left-hand corner there, I guess right, left, yeah, anyways, we can even create JIRA tickets if a service meets a certain threshold of savings. And that ticket will then get assigned to the service owner. And this, again, is powered by the tagging that we talked about before and powered by Backstage, and it all kind of works together. So now that we know, like, teams know about their cost, the next thing I want to talk about is how we've helped teams scale smarter. So in a perfect world, auto-scaling would just work for everything. Like, as utilization goes up, you know, like the service will go up. And as utilization goes down, it just goes down. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world, so we have to find other ways of doing this. And that would be, like one way that we've done that is what we call schedule-driven scaling. So we built tooling around this idea of schedule-driven scaling. And so what it allows service owners to do is create events, and then we can scale in preparation for those events. So yeah, we scale up. We can scale up before an event. So let's say a Fortnite season launch that we have coming up. We can have service owners go in and they can scale services that we have in the past have seen as kind of that should just scale on their own, like elastic load balancers. We take them for granted, but when we have these huge events in Fortnite, load balancers can't scale fast enough for the amount of users that are coming into the game. So we have to scale beforehand, like the capacity for the load balancers. Then, like the schedule-driven scaling has the added benefit of scaling back down after the event. And this solves a problem that we've had with a lot of services in the past, of teams will come in and they'll scale their services to the moon for this big event that we're having, and then just forget about it and go on with life. Then the last type of scaling that I want to talk about is just good old-fashioned manual scaling. I know it's not fun, but there's certain situations where we have to rely on manual scaling. Like a good example would be like databases and caches that just don't auto-scale well. I do want to add, though, that there's a human overhead to these sort of scaling events. Like, it takes time and resources to do these manual scaling events, and they can also be higher risk because there's a greater opportunity for like human error in these things. So on the note of scaling, I want to share like how we've managed this as like a company-wide initiative, and that leads me to the next thing that I want to talk about, and that's this idea of scaling initiatives. And this is a side note, but I made these logos. And like, to me, like, that is like the true effort of a FinOps engineer, like not relying on the time and effort of a graphic designer and just like doing it on your own. Anyways, the idea here, though, is that we have these scaling initiatives that actually we drive through Backstage, but we drive these events through Backstage that encourages teams to scale up for events, and we give them some very clear targets for concurrent users, and so they know where they should scale to and how they should scale and when they should scale. And then after the event is over, we kind of do the inverse, and we create another scaling event, like you can see here with the winter wind down, and encourage teams to scale back down. And then we as a FinOps team can review like resource utilization and help teams like scale more if we feel like they're not where they should be based on like past usage. And again, we're giving them a clear CCU going forward. So let's say a Fortnite event, we scale up, let's say we expect 15 million users to be in there. And then like after the event's over, like we can say, oh, now we're gonna be at 7 million, so they can scale appropriately. So talking about scaling is exciting, and you're gonna scale, and it's gonna be awesome, but things are gonna go wrong, and that's the last thing that I wanna talk about today. So no matter what, things are not gonna go as you expect them to, and it certainly happened to us. So I wanna share these things because I hope that you don't make the same mistakes that we make, and I just wanna share them with you. I'm sure that you'll make your own like new mistakes, and it's gonna be awesome. But here's 4 things that we've done that I hope that you don't fail on too. So the first one is scaling too much too fast. So it's super exciting to save money, and it's awesome to see money come off your bill. But all I say is just be patient and take a slow approach to it. We have shot ourselves in the foot with this in the past, and it's not much fun. And then this problem is even exacerbated too whenever you are scaling under production load. And let's say you're even scaling let's say a sharded database or something like that, and you don't take into consideration, I'm not saying this happened to us, but if you don't take into consideration that resharding process when you're doing this, so you have production load, you have additional load, so you just need to make sure that whatever you're scaling down to takes into consideration that additional load that the resharding process would take. The second one I want to talk about is scaling too late. So scaling too late is like waiting till the last minute to scale to save money. So we've made this mistake of an event's coming up, we want to scale up right before it happens, but nothing in the cloud ever happens as fast as you want it to, and there's always like external factors that may impact that. So make sure that you saving money again is fun, and you want to scale as close to the event, but just give yourself a little bit of room, and just anticipate when traffic is going to come, and make sure that your scaling processes is going to happen before that. The third one is what I like to call scaling with your gut. I truly believe in making data-driven decisions, but there's certainly something about what you feel in your gut, and but back it up with data. And one way that we've done this at Epic Games is by making load testing an integral part of our operational readiness program. So load testing gives teams the ability to fully understand what scaling looks like for their service. And the result of this across Epic has been greater reliability and lower cost because teams understand their service and how it scales and what kind of the number of users that their service can handle at different scales. So the last one is pretty obvious. It may be embarrassing for us to talk about, but deleting old resources has been problematic. There's old things that we've deleted, and thinking that they were so old that they weren't used. So the example that I have is like AMIs in AWS, so like machine images. Like we deleted a bunch of old ones thinking there's no way these things are used. They're ancient. And as you can expect, they were still used. They just happened to be used by services that hadn't been deployed in an extremely long time. Yeah, it's a little embarrassing. But anyways, that's all I have for you today. In conclusion, the balancing costs and reliability is super challenging. And I just hope that you can take away from this the idea that FinOps engineering isn't about making trade-offs between reliability and cost. It's about creating a balance between the two. Thank you so much for being here at the end of your day. And I look forward to seeing all of you tonight, and I look forward to your questions.
Let's not take your question. It's from a practitioner's perspective. When you think about reliability and cost, for most engineers, it's either or, because they're probably afraid to make the changes. That on one aspect. That you can fix. I wanted you to share an experience where you gave one of your FinOps partners, maybe the engineering partners, that this is the data, you're oversized. You need to scale down. And there's a pushback, probably because you were using the wrong metric. How were you able to navigate that complexity and actually influence them to make the necessary changes?
So I think that maybe my experience is in a sweet spot in this way. So like when I came to Epic Games, I ran our operational readiness review program. I was working as an SRE, and I think I built a trust with users. And I think that's really the main thing, is like you have to get, you have to show teams that they can trust you. And like having someone on your team, like as a FinOps engineer, like I know I'm partial, but like having SREs help scale stuff, I think gives you like the ammo that you need to really push for change, and someone that people can trust to not break their stuff, because like, you know, they're gonna be the ones, you know, that I not blamed, but I believe in blameless postmortems, but like they're the person that's like gonna be on the hook when things don't go right. So someone that has that experience of scaling services and has reliability at the top of their mind, I think is important in that regard.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's right.
Great. And then right up front here in the plaid shirt, you still have a question? Yeah.
You got to cut these.
Can you go into some details on how you integrated costs into Backstage?
Yeah, so right now it's being powered by the service that I showed. It's called Savvy. So like we basically use that as a backend service for Backstage. In the future, we're going to integrate it probably with our new cost platform that we're rolling out. So yeah, and right now it only gives you it's a very simple display there. It only gives you last month's cost. So we're not like giving full like graphs and things like that. We're just giving like last month's costs, and here's some optimization opportunities. So it's a pretty simple integration.
Okay, so that one is built on Savvy as well. So
yeah, that one's built on Savvy. I think our plan is to move it to another service. We're working on integrating with another cloud vendor for our cost attribution and stuff, and it'll be integrated with that. But yeah, we're just simply pulling in, and it's all based off that EUID. So like out of Savvy, we're basically pulling this EUID, this is last month's cost, and displaying it in Backstage. And these are your opportunities.
I've never talked into a box before. This is fun. So I have a comment and then a question. So I don't know whether you intended to write cost conscious versus what is an uncommonly used term, cost conscientiousness. There is a difference. One is just awareness. Yeah, it's costing me a lot of money. Okay, next. Versus I actually care and I'm incentivized to do something about it. I'm accountable. I have air cover if something goes wrong, because my engineering organization, all the way up to the top leader, expects me to actually care about how much my service is costing this business, because we're a profitable company, right? So in your experience, based on the context of this presentation, would you say that you're a cost-conscious organization, or actually are engineers cost-conscientious?
I would say that we're recovering cost-conscientious people.
Okay.
Like, we haven't always truly given cost the focus that it should have been. So I'd say we're becoming more conscientious over time.
Got it. Okay.
And that's something like that we're trying to change in the culture at Epic.
So does your leadership value, and when I say leadership, I mean your engineering leadership specifically, do they value cost, given that it is ultimately the thing that decides whether you're profitable or not, which is the whole reason you're in business, really? I know you just want to build cool shit and stuff, but really you're a business, right? Do they value that the same as security and reliability and all the other stuff that you actually need to do, and features, obviously?
I think again, like, that is a place that the company is changing.
You're moving in that direction?
We're moving in that direction because we haven't always been as conscientious as we wanted to be. Because like building cool shit is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting there. It's slowly migrating that way. And certainly in the last couple of years, like we have a handful of people from our team here this week. Because cost matters to the company, and that's the direction we're heading, right. Without sacrificing user experience. Like the moment I think that we start saying that by saving money, like Fortnite is going to be no more fun to play, like that's not something that we're willing to trade off.
Absolutely not. Do you have?
Okay, one more question, then somebody else. Yeah.
No.
I know.
Do you have unit economic targets or cost to serve targets for your stuff that's in production? I'm just curious.
I think that we have ideas, and I think we certainly have. I think we haven't defined that all that well yet, but I think we're getting to a place to where unit economics is becoming more important. But we're kind of still in that, like I mentioned before, we're just kind of in this transition stage of this becoming more important at the company.
Got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, who's next? Oh, right in front of you. You don't have to throw far.
Hi, yeah. You mentioned at the start that when something was incorrectly tagged, you would tear it down, build it back up, and tag it correctly. How did you get approval to do that? Because that sounds amazing. So.
Well, to be clear, the only things that we're tearing down are things that are newly created. So like if you spin up an RDS database and you don't tag it, we're going to throw it away. And then we're going to message you in a Slack channel, and we're going to tell you that you did it wrong, and then you'll have to do it again. So reapply your Terraform with the proper tags. So like we're not deleting major databases or anything like that. That being said, we did have an initiative that we went through and had teams tag all of the resources. And we'll notify them if if the resources aren't tagged anymore, or if they didn't tag the resources properly, but we're not going to delete existing things. The other thing I want to add to that is the one benefit of that tagging initiative across the company was we found a lot of stuff that teams were like, we still have this? Like, why do we have this? We should just delete this. And then it gets deleted just by telling people to go tag their stuff. That was a benefit that we got.
Awesome. People must love you. Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
Thanks for the talk. I had a question around change management or knowledge for the engineers. How did you manage that push towards being more cost conscientious, as we talked about? Is it FinOps formal training by the foundation? Is it you pushing the FinOps message through emails or physical events, or is it workshops with the engineers? How have you been dealing with bringing the terminology and this FinOps mindset to a large organization?
For me personally, it was just putting myself out there and offering to help teams, finding opportunities and then offering help teams fix them. It's one thing to find a cost savings opportunity and be like here, go fix it, and throw it over the fence. But I've taken a more active approach and building rapport with teams on them being able to trust me to help them scale their services and knowing that it's not just me saying, go fix this thing. And then we've also done some other things around like migrations from AMD, our Intel to Graviton. And, and like we can push those things too and help teams like, hey, you could save this much money if you move to Graviton, or if you move, from GP2 to GP3 or something like that. And it's just, I think a lot of it's just about building trust with teams, and like helping teams understand that like you're not just dumping things on them to save money on.
How'd you pick the right tags?
So we came up with a set of tags. So one of the tags that I mentioned before is that EUID. And then we also do a tag for the contact, which is like an email address for like the team, or like someone like the leader of that team or something like that. And then the service name. And then the last one is owner. Thank you. But yeah, so then we also say the owner, which is the team that owns that service. That being said, I think we're moving in a direction, someone here may not like me saying this, of just having the EUID and using Backstage to derive that the other metadata. But that's the world that I would like to see. But yeah, I think that's how we ended up there.
What about shared services?
What's that?
Shared services or monoliths?
We don't have too many microservices that are shared across teams. But I don't know how we handle that. I think there are maybe a couple scenarios today where, like, let's say a Kubernetes cluster that is, and its instances are shared across multiple services. We're getting to the point to where we're just going to start tagging the resources that run on Kubernetes, so like tagging the pods and tagging the deployments and things like that to be able to break down that cost and the attribution, at a lower level.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. For more FinOps X 2025 content, go check out our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and leave comments and questions for all of our wonderful speakers. We appreciate your support.